Thank you for being here today. This is Tracy Una Wagner with Versatile Inspirations, and today we're going to be talking about tarot for the year. I just want to thank you again for being here with me in this blessed circle to learn a little bit about how we can just kind of map out a bit what our year is going to be with tarot and oracle cards. This is one thing I love to do annually, to get an overview of the coming year. It's kind of like a roadmap. It makes me feel like I can focus on the road ahead. It lets me be able to concentrate on those areas when I may need to mind my P's and Q's, or I need maybe a little bit more clarity on what's coming up for me. I don't want anyone thinking that this is the end-all be-all, because it's not. It's actually just a fun way that we can begin the new year and just be able to be more knowledgeable about what's coming up. Nothing is written in concrete, nothing at all. You're living and being in a very change-oriented world right now. Things are changing at such a rapid speed that we just can't nail down what's going to be happening, because honestly, we don't really know. Things may come up out of the blue in a serendipitous way that we act on or we don't act on. And so being able to be mindful of those changes just puts a more bigger beacon on why it's kind of nice to have a roadmap that maybe kind of from our guidance, from our spiritual counsel, will actually help us to maintain our focus throughout the year. It is actually, it's interesting that as we go through life, a lot of times people say, well, gosh, the year is going by faster and faster, or the years are going by faster and faster. And I'm hearing kids, teenagers, and younger people that are saying the same thing, that their year is going faster. Oh, gosh, I remember when I was in grade school and the summer seemed to take forever until I would be able to go back to school. I actually, on my own accord, decided to take summer school, not because I was behind, but because I was so bored during summer. It took forever to be able to get back in school. And, but now, as the Aquarian age has come upon us, and as the new age is going further, and after we've passed that December of 2012 time period, it's really starting to move faster and faster. Our knowledge is gaining and gaining. And so being able to have a roadmap and being able to be flexible with change is always beneficial. So please, there again, don't use the yearly spread as an end-all be-all, as it's written in stone, because it's not at all. It's just a help and a guide to kind of help you in what's coming up. When we're reading, whether you use a tarot or you use oracle cards, we don't need to take the card itself literally. A lot of people do. A lot of people look at it and say, oh my gosh, it's the death card, or oh my gosh, it's this card, or oh my gosh, it's that card. This is what it means. If you actually look on the internet or do some research with other card decks, you'll notice that there's wide berth to the cards and what their meanings are. And it's open to interpretation, your interpretation. What are you feeling in your gut that card means? What are you feeling that image, those numbers, the colors, what is it saying to you? So sometimes you'll want to use your book. There's always seems like a book that's associated with it, or maybe you have your own tarot book that you really like to use for that. So feel free to use those, but also use your intuition and your guidance. either from your spiritual counsel or from just within your soul self and the guidance that you're receiving on different images, like I said, different colors, different shapes, different numbers that are associated with those. I'll talk about it later, but the new year isn't always the only time to do a yearly or an annual reading. You can do it seasonally, you can do it monthly, during a full or a new moon. You can do it on your birthday, you can do it every 6 months, you can do it every quarter. You decide when it feels the best to you. And just feel free to, if you don't feel like doing it, just give yourself permission not to do it. You don't have to do it. Reading the tarot cards or oracle cards needs to be, number one, fun. It should be fun. It should be helpful and beneficial. It shouldn't be a burden or stressful or make you feel like it's just not a lot of, you just don't want to do it. You should feel like it's uplifting and fun and like it'll raise your energy a little bit. When you do decide to read, try and be intentional about the reading. Not the reading itself, but be intentional on the timing of your reading. Like I knew I was going to do my reading today, so I lit candles. I had smudged earlier in the week, and my decks that I'll be using today, I've put crystals on, or gems, or stones on top of to kind of clear the energy. You can also put them out at a full or new moon. Put them out. I do it face down so that the back of the cards get the sun. If you put them in this windowsill for the sun. There again, you can, and I'll show you what I usually do, but I usually just take the card deck and knock 3 times on the front and then just kind of wave the energy out, and then do the same on the other side and wave the energy out just to release that and just prepare the cards. So you can totally be intentional about it so that you can plan what you're going to do for preparing. Like I said, by far and away, the number one thing to expect from reading is fun. You don't want to, just don't do it. Just give yourself a break if you need it and just say, you know what, I'm not going to do it today, or I'm not going to do it this right now. I'm just going to give myself a break and do it later. And that's where the intention comes in. You're able to focus more and be able to move through that a little bit easier when you are feeling like you want to do it. If it's not in it for the day, just bag it. Just say, no, I'm not going to do it. And then move on. There will always be a day, and your cards will always be there ready for you. So you're ready for doing some readings? Yoo-hoo! Okay, so first things first. You may have your own way of doing readings. That's just fine. Perfectly okay. I'm just going to go over a few ways I've learned over the years and how I do mine. Feel free to try them all out, or just stick with your tried and true method. Or you can incorporate some of the methods that I talk about into your own for a truly unique option. Again, the real point is to have fun and get some insight for the year. So like I was talking about setting up for the reading. So because I knew I was going to do them today, I did. I set crystals on. I used moonstone. I used rose quartz, and just a grounding stone that I got from Hawaii. And so when we use those things, we're actually preparing the cards for the reading. I do this every time that I'm getting ready to do a reading. If I know ahead of time that I'm going to be doing a reading, I prepare the cards. Sometimes I just use the knocking on the cards to get them clear, or I actually use sage. I burn sage and just with the smoke over them so that it kind of clears. I am a Reiki master, and so I actually can use Reiki to clear the cards, and sometimes I do that. A lot of times there again, I learned how to do the knocking, and it seems to really work for me. And just to shake out that old energy of the old readings and then just absorb new intentions. So that's what I do. There are again tools for the setup. You can use, like I've got right now, I've got a candle burning. I do have sage next to me that I have earlier in the week cleanse the room. And I also have incense in here if I want to use incense instead. I have moonstone that I've used on my shadow deck that I'll be using from our first reading. And then I've used rose quartz for a different type of reading that I'll be showing you. And then the grounding stones that I used on my oracle deck. So I've got those. You can also, what you really want to do is just be guided on what feels best for you. Those stones in particular felt good to me to place on top of the deck so that it goes through. This is what it looks like. I just put it on top so that the energy of the stones goes directly through, and I set my intention for that to happen as well, so that I believe that that is what will happen, and it does. And so there again, when we sit down to actually do the readings, what I like to do is I like to call in my spiritual counsel. That would be my spirit guide, my angels, my ascended masters that I work with that may have a message for me that will help me prepare the deck. Ancestors, anyone in spirit, including my own soul self, I prepare by just discussing with my soul self that I'm going to be doing the reading for the year to come, and I would like some guidance on cards to pick, and by expelling any doubt, transmuting it into belief and love. And with that, and I call in a light, I see a light, a bubble light that surrounds me and my cards and my reading for this year, or for whatever you're doing the reading for. But for today, that's what I'll be doing. So right now, after I've called in my guides, now I personally, when I call in guides or ascended masters or angels, I actually just call for anyone that would like to help me and that has guidance for me. Now, if I am doing a reading for healing, I'll probably call on Archangel Raphael. If I'm going to do a healing for love, I'll probably call on Archangel Jophiel. So there's certain times when I'll call on certain archangels or certain ascended masters, sometimes Kuan Yin, if I'm knowing that something is needing some compassion towards it. But when I'm doing an overall general reading, such as the yearly reading, I just ask for anyone who has any guidance for me just to come on in and help me with the picking of the cards, and it does help. So another thing I really want just to talk about real quick is a lot of people have self-doubt. I have self-doubt. Everyone does. When we're doing our tarot readings or oracle readings, whether it's for ourselves or for others, it can bring up that self-doubt feeling. It can bring up feeling of who am I to be doing my own reading? But what I want you to know is that you have everything inside of you that can answer those questions. You have unlimited resources, unlimited. There's no limit to the resources that you have to make your own decisions, to bring about what you want. You're your own guru. You're your own spiritual advisor, you know, literally, you know what you're here this time to observe, to know, to do. And that includes reading the tarot cards. You know yourself better than anyone, and you have the ability to give yourself a viable reading. You're able to give yourself a reading that in 6 months you can look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's exactly the kind of month that I'm going through. There again, it's not always set in stone. We are changing all the time and rapidly. So if you, like I said, if we get a card where we're like, I don't really like this card, don't worry about it and don't fret over it, because there's meaning, deeper meaning within each of the cards than just what it shows on the surface. So just don't worry about that. Selecting, there again, having the belief and the knowledge that you can select the cards that need to be selected. That's why sometimes it's easier if we just call in our guides and we call in our spiritual counsel, then it's not all on our shoulders. We can just be open to what is needed for guidance, and they can actually help us pick the right cards. They know too. They're up with our spirit, with our spirit self, so they know what we need. They know what we came for. The Akashic records are open for them and for us to view and to get knowledge from. So there's just unlimited resources for the knowledge that you're going to be getting. And shuffling and selecting and believing all come together in just beautiful harmony, because you're able to not focus so intently on self-doubt. Just be open and be mindful to that. And if it starts creeping up, just kind of try and push it out of the way. I find personally that the candles and the sage and the pre-doing of everything, the preparedness of it, by intending to do it at a certain time, actually helps me to be able to feel more secure in the knowledge that I'm going to be getting the right information. So I'm going to start with reading the tarot. And what you really want to do is, if you have a deck that you prefer over all of them, I like to use that deck for my yearly reading, because it's a bigger reading. It's not a 1 or 2 or 3 card reading. It's a bigger reading. And if you feel comfortable with the cards, then you're able to put that energy in there more so than with a card deck that maybe you just don't feel as connected to. But this is a card deck, the tarot card deck that I use most of it. It's a shadow deck, and I just love this deck. It offers me the ability to look at the images, to look at the numbers, to look at the colors that are associated with it. And it helps me to be able to be more intuitive in that sense. So that's why I like to use this deck. Now I'm going to show you another deck in a little bit after I do a couple of things with this one. Now, I also wanted to show you another way. Even though I've had and with this deck, I've had Moonstone on my on the deck, but how I prepare all of my readings is I just take the card deck and I wrap on first side, which is just the back of the cards, all of them together, wrap 3 times, and then in my mind's eye, I can see the energy coming out of the cards, and so then I just kind of whiff it away. Then on the other side, which is face card, I just wrap 3 times again, and then just float that energy from the last reading away. And that's how I prepare the cards. Now, when I shuffle, I do a combination. I do shuffling like that you see a lot of people when they've got card decks and they take it into 2 piles. And then they just kind of do this and then flip the cards together. I don't know what that's called, but I do that with these. Now, some cards you're going to find that you're not able to do that because they're so stiff. And that's my next card deck I want to show you after I get done with this one. And I do this 3 times. 3 is a number for me that I find very helpful. And so I use 3s a lot. There again, I do 3 times with the wrapping, and then I leave it at that. Now, you can do it that way, or you can take the cards, and I'll show you again, and just kind of mush them together. Doesn't matter where you put them, just put them together however you want. So, let's see. It's a little bit harder when the cards are easier to manhandle the other way. So after you get it all prepared, shuffled, ready to go, then what I do, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can, well, I do it, and I learned how to do it this way. I just kind of go through and see which cards. See, that one's kind of poking out a little bit. So I'm going to take that one as January card. I find if I just kind of go through, it's a weird thing. They seem to want to like clump together. Some of the cards do, and they know which cards. Like I said, if we've already asked for divine guidance, then it's there. It's helping you pick which cards. It's helping the cards jump out. It's just getting your eye to go to a certain card. Now, I'm going to pick one more. This one actually. So I've got this one too for February. So I've got January and February. And then another way you can do it, and I can't really show you, but let me take a couple cards here. If we lay them out flat on the table, maybe one card, like see this one right, where is it? There is actually sticking out more than the other ones. So I'm going to take that one. Sometimes it's a color, so that one's March. Sometimes it's a color, sometimes it's one sticking out further than the other ones. Sometimes you can take a quarter of the deck and just put it all out in a, and you can see actually, if you can see that, see how some of them clump up. There's a whole bunch of cards in there, but there's a bunch that are clumped up together. And you can just spread them out all along the table. Sometimes some people use pendulums, and you can use a pendulum, and you can ask your guides to actually point to the card that you need, that you want the reading with. I'm just going to see real quick if my pendulum actually can, we'll pick a card. It's going pretty good right now. Let's see if it's going to pick a card. I've got it laying down on the, actually it's just picking the top cards. So January, February, March, April. So I've got April. And then you can just use your pendulum if you want to. It takes a little bit longer to do it that way, but by all means, do it however you feel like. Now, there again, I'm trusting that even though I don't have all the cards together, I'm just going to trust that I'm being guided to the cards that are coming up for me for the year. And there again, I'm just going to go through like I've done before and just kind of go through the cards and see if there's any that one kind of pops out, almost falls out, does fall out. If there's 1 or 2 cards that fall out, that's fine too. So January, February, March, April. So this is May. And you can keep doing that, or if there's another way that you've learned how to do it, that is great too. This one's a little bit faster, so we can do this a little bit quicker here. January, February, March, April, May, June. So I'll do 6 months with this deck, and then I'll do 6 months with the other deck. But theoretically, you can do your whole year with just one deck. So that is one way to do it. Let me put that back on there. the next way that we can do it is this one is the Angel Tarot. So it actually is a little bit different in the wording and the way that it's constructed. Whereas the shadow ones are a little bit more along the lines of the original tarot, the Rider-Waite tarot. These are a little bit more, not subdued, but a little bit more, I just want to say happy cards. They're a little bit happier. They give you more, more ways to see the positive in something that would be considered like a death card, or the Tower, or things like that. It actually will, or the Devil, it will actually, it changes the wording, and it gives you help. Even on the front of the card down at the bottom, it will give you just some helpful advice on that. There again, you can always use your own guidance. They're very colorful. Oh, there we go. They're very colorful. They have, like I said, words. The images are different, so you can really narrow down. And I think it has, yeah, it has numbers on them. So you can use that for numerology. You can use that for just going through and finding certain things. Like this one, the infinity sign is just huge to me. It just pops out like crazy to me. There's one there, and there's one at the bottom here too. And that, even though it's a hugely colorful card, those infinity signs really stand out to me. So there again, how I start mine, take the back side and wrap on it 3 times, and then just blow that old energy out. And there again on the other side, 3 times, and blow the energy out of that one. Now this one, the cards are really stiff, so what I do is I just kind of mix them up. It is actually easier to do it this way with these cards because they're more stiff than trying to do like the casino type of shuffling and get it to do that, because that's just, oh my gosh, hard to do. So there again, just calling on your guidance and your spiritual counsel for help. Anyone that's available and ready to give you some guidance, who may have guidance for you. Everybody's always available. They're infinite, and anytime you call on them, they're there. All right, so got it all prepared. So I'm just going to go through, and these are a little bit easier also to kind of see where things get kind of, they show you which ones there are. So this is July. And there again, we can go through, you can use your pendulum, you can just spread all the cards out and just see which one catches your eye or which one you're led to. You can close your eyes and put your hands over the cards and pick also wherever your hand lies, just pick that card. There's August. And here's this one for September. And October. And then put them back together and just keep going. November. This one's a little bit faster because that's kind of what it's wanting to do. December. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay. So I got them all for those. And so that's the tarot. And I'll put that one back there. So we've got January through December. Now, like I said, by no means is this the end all be all. And I may actually get the same ones because I used 2 different card decks, but that's okay. So let's see what the first one is. So the first one I got is the Chariot. And that is, I think it's 7. I think that's what that is. I think that's 7 at the bottom. I don't do numbers like that. So the first thing that really catches my eye on this are the subdued colors. And so it seems like it's going to be a more subdued time for me. A time when I am going into something. That's why I see with the Chariot, me personally, that's what I feel. I'm going to be heading into something, and but it's going to be more of a subdued time. It looks like this one crab is actually holding up like a sun or something. It's pretty cool. I like that. So I'm just going to quickly grab the, just want to see what it may mean. Let's check and see if they have it in here. Yeah. Okay. Nature successfully balanced a recently challenging situation. Our ability to see both sides, take action, and make decisions. Yep. Stay calm and grounded. So that was more of the subdued time. So see, yeah, you can do it too. Just feel free to do that anytime. So I'm just going to grab July's real quick. I'm not going to go through all of them. So July is with the other tarot deck. It's the Angel Tarot deck, and it's 18, the Moon, Archangel Haniel. And I'll show you the card. So that's that card. And it says, important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back. So those are two of the cards from this year's reading. And you can take it and look at it and do your own interpretation of it by looking at the colors, the images, and the textures, and just what comes to you. Or you can take a card and you can take it for what it says, which I wouldn't have any problem with the Angel Tarot deck because it's very gentle. And so you can do it that way. Now, another way that we can do yearly readings is with an oracle deck. Now, some people like oracle decks rather than tarot decks, because oracle decks usually aren't as, they don't have the tarot behind them. They don't have Rider-Waite. They don't have some of the stigmas that are attached to tarot. Oracle cards, even though the word oracle says predetermination and future telling, but the oracle deck isn't usually the full tarot, so there's less cards to manhandle, and there's a lot of different kinds. Now there's a lot of different kinds of tarot, but oracle cards are all over the place. They're becoming more mainstream. A lot more people are using them. So today I will be using the Angel Heart Sigils by Stuart Pearce. Love Stuart Pearce's work. And so I have this one, and there again, this one had the grounding stones on it. And I'm just going to wrap 3 times and then blow the energy, old energy out, wrap 3 more times and blow the energy out. And with this one, I can go ahead and you can do the shuffling like you're in Vegas. I will get that. And I do that with times as well. I have a 3 girl. I like 3s. All right. So with that, I'm just going to go through again and just see which cards pop out, if any cards pop out. If I feel like it, I might just go ahead, and this is a newer deck for me, so I don't have a lot of my own energy out here. I'm just going to pick a couple cards, and there it is. I'll just take my pendulum and see what cards, see if any cards kind of poke out. Okay, so this one, we'll say this is January. I'll just do the first 3 months with these. And do a couple more. Oh, that over there. So this way totally would take a lot longer, but you know what? If you have a whole day to devote to doing your reading, I say go for it. So let's see if this one has one for it too. Nope, this one. Okay. So we'll take January and February and see what it wants to tell us. So January is Archangel Haniel. Now this is a pretty bright color, loyalty, and it's got Mahatma Gandhi, and it also has Martin Luther King Jr. on there as well. And it's got these beautiful sigils on it. I really like it. Now the red to me is different than in the other one. Now, but there again, it means go forward. Now with these two men on the front of the card, that to me is what represents the calmness, the more subdued, but they are powerful. These men are they have power, even though they're very powerful beings, and their energy is high. They've got love surrounding them, like just amazing. And so I'm just going to read real quick what it says about this card because I find it very interesting. So let's go to Haniel and loyalty. Here we go. And it says, Haniel's wings fan the flames of the passionate spiritual conviction that both Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King possessed. They believe that all people should live lives of freedom based on equality, and similarly, it is a virtue that stirs Haniel's actions. So yeah, totally. And consistency with devotional path, or spend a moment or two filling it in your own heart, then chant. That's perfect. So it almost, if you were to put the two cards together from the reading that I had gotten prior with those cards and this one, it actually just puts together beautifully the type of moving forward with passion, but having that spirituality that will keep you more grounded, more subdued, more calm. I love that. So that was January. And then for February, I didn't check my other February yet, but that's Shamuel and Genius. And the purple color, I love the purple color because the purple color to me means it's more maybe a spiritual type of knowledge. And I'm taking Tesla and Einstein here, and I'm looking at them going, you know, they were geniuses, but they both possessed a knowledge for the spiritual. Tesla with energy, well, and Einstein with energy. So let's see what that is. Shamuel, and Genius. Let's see what that is. Dual wisdom and genius of Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla shine forth from the icon to illuminate the conviction that you are developing a new level of creative genius during this passage of time. See if it says anything. Form of the angel of inspiration. Spirit. Yep. So there are, yep, guiding, assisting, excelling, and spirit. And so it actually, just looking at the card and getting the colors and the people and just the overall feeling of that, I didn't know a lot about Shamuel, but I can learn more just by reading the card and looking him up. And you can do the same as well. But just by seeing that, I got the feeling that that's what it was about. And that's what it was about. So it's very interesting how the cards are going to be very representative to not only what you read in the book, but also to your intuitive hits. Your intuitive hits aren't just what you think they are as far as um, oh, I'm clairvoyant, so I only see things, or I'm clairaudient, so I only hear things. You are a spiritual being and you have unlimited ability to pick up on things like colors, like textures, like words or numbers or people, images. It's just unlimited. You are an unlimited being. You're limitless. And yeah, so have fun with your readings. That's the number one thing. If, like I said, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. But those are 3 ways and 3 different types of readings that you can do for yourself annually. It's a fun way to welcome in the new year. Now, there's another way that the new year is on your, you can do readings on your birthday. A lot of people do birthday readings because it actually gives you not just this first 12 months, but it also gives you going into the next year, depending on where your birthday is. Now, my birthday is in February, so it's very close into the new year, but it also helps me to prepare a month in advance for the next coming year. Not only that, but I can see where my growth is. Now, once I do my 12-month in January, I will go back and do another 12-month annual reading for my birthday as well. And sometimes I even have my friends do it for me so I can see if we both kind of picked up on the same thing and kind of merge those ideas together. And another thing with the birthdays is that you can see where your growth is, maybe where the months are still kind of in that same energy, that same feeling of the cards that you maybe picked for the new year. Also, you can see where they changed. They may be a totally different feeling for the coming month, but it doesn't really matter. You're moving forward. It's kind of your roadmap. You kind of can see where you're going, which direction you're going. You can be a little bit more focused. Now, once you do that, you can always do your weekly. I've started doing more weekly readings. I do weekly and daily. I find that my weekly gives me kind of an overview of the general feeling of the week, whereas my daily kind of helps me focus on how am I feeling, what am I looking to accomplish, what am I looking to do and be in that day. So I usually use that as well for moving forward. And you can do that as well. You can do that right now. After you do your 12-card annual reading, you can take January's reading and you can take that and then you can go, now I would like guidance on the weeks, all 4 weeks. And you can keep a journal. Write it in your journal what cards you received in pencil. I always write in pencil in the journals like that, just because it helps me if my card changes for whatever reason, or if I add another card and it kind of builds upon the previous card, then I just go ahead and write that more information down. It's really fun, it's interesting, and it's helpful as a wonderful guidance. Not only that, but you're connecting with spirit and you're able to build that connection and reconnect even more solid and create a more firmer foundation for life here on earth while we're here. So I hope the readings are fun for you. I hope that gave you a couple ideas on how to prepare, how to believe in yourself, and how to believe in the guidance that you're receiving, different readings with different cards, and how maybe you don't need to use your book so often. Maybe just your intuitive guidance will actually kind of bring you into what you're really needing to know from that card. So I would love to hear what your year is, what you've put together for your year map, and just hear what's going on with you. So feel free to chat with me on Facebook, or you can send me email at Tracy, Tracy, at versatilinspirations.com. Thank you for listening and playing along. I truly appreciate it, and I will see you next time. As always, I'm sending you and yours love, light, and eternal blessings. Take care.